look around, I realize that I am the only dad there. That means a lot to me and my daughter. And it means a lot to me too. So Tyler is joining us tonight. Thank you so much.
How's everybody doing down here in Southern Cal, huh?
Great.
Just to give you guys a real quick idea, I was in Northern California for the last 2 days. I was in Chico and Santa Rosa, and prior to that I was in Reno doing a big loop. I live in Utah, so I decided to hit Reno on the way and then hit there and hit here. I'm going to be here for 2 days. I'll be in Brea again tomorrow night for any of you guys that want to bring anybody to that meeting. And I know there's another meeting that I heard about. I think they're happening all over the place. So let me tell you guys why I'm doing this big tour. I'm a Pro 10 in this company. It's the highest rank that you can possibly be, and I have 2 positions that are actually at that rank. And for the last about 2 years or so, I've been kind of semi-retired. What I've been doing is a lot of trainings. I hadn't been doing a lot of these opportunity meetings. I've been really just kind of meeting with people privately that are trying to have some of the success that I've had in this business and not doing the opportunity meeting. Well, David Phelps, our chief sales officer, came out to some of us that were, I guess, kind of semi-retired, and he said, "Come on, guys, we want to get this company to really just blow up here and just be really, really big. Can we get you to go out and start doing opportunity meetings?" And I said, "Oh, man, really? Because I'm kind of retired." And I'm, And then my wife was like, "You've been home a lot. Maybe you should go and help some people, right?" And so I was like, "Oh, man, now my wife's pushing me out of the house, too." So anyways, I said, let's run a promo. And let's take whoever the top 3 enrollers are, and I've got 3 groups I'm doing this with. Let's take the top 3 enrollers in those groups, and I'm going to do a 90-day tour, because in the very, very beginning, that's what Marcel and I did. Marcel's my business partner. We did 90-day tours around the country, and that's how we got our group to kind of take fire or catch fire and start to grow, and we were there every 2 to 3 weeks to help do this. So we decided to do one of these big promos for these 3 places. And Myrna is one of the winners of that promo, right? So what that means is that we're going to spend a lot of time down here, and if you want to take advantage of us being here, then that's what I would encourage you to do. If you see something here tonight that excites you or that you decide to be a part of, then I guess we kind of owe a big, huge thanks to Myrna for bringing us here. Now, I will say this too. This promo is not over yet, okay? We ran it in September, October, and this month of November. So if you want to extend the promo time so that we can go January, February, March even, if you want to be one of those winners, you still have a couple weeks, right, to go out and become one of those winners. So with that being said, let's find out what you have to do to get some support from the Pro 10s in the company. So, hold on before you go. How many people, well, first of all, what month did you win?
September.
So September, the first month. How many people did you talk to? Just talk to, not show the presentation to, just talk to.
I didn't talk to a whole lot of people, so I got a little cocky because I signed 3 people in September. I just started talking to my family. I would say 10 people.
So you talked to 10 or 12. How many of them let you actually kind of get into the presentation of what we're doing here?
Actually, they all joined because I said it was a great business.
So they just took you on your word.
Yes.
Wow, that is incredible, right? I wish I was you.
Yeah, that's really why they joined, because they said if Myrna was out of work 12 years, educated woman, and this is the first thing she's jumping into, I'm in. What do I need to do?
Well, that's awesome. Okay, that's really. Let me tell you a couple experiences I've had, because I ask these questions everywhere I go. In Reno, I'll just tell you what they did. They talked to 20 people. Okay. They were able to show 10, and they signed up 5. And I was like, that sounds about right, okay? In Santa Rosa, it was about the same, 25, 30 people. They were able to show 12, 15 people, and they were able to sign up 5 or 6. Okay? In Chico, the winner up there talked to 10, was able to show 6, and signed up 3. And that was the winner. So that should give you guys a pretty good idea if you're sitting here going, okay, you said something about a promo, we only got 2 weeks left. 3, 4, 5 people in the next couple weeks will get our support from people that are at the top of this company. Does that sound good?
And Thanksgiving is just around the corner. So
Yep.
you're going to see a lot of your family.
That's right.
That's
right.
I mean, I'm going to go prepared.
All right. Well, thank you, Myrna.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, you guys. So my name's Tyler Daniels. I live in a little town called Richfield, Utah. Anybody know where that's at?
No.
Raise your hand if you know where Richfield, Utah is. Anybody? Okay, we got 1, we got 2. I asked that. I travel all over the country, you guys. I do these presentations everywhere, and I asked that, and hardly ever does anybody raise a hand because it's a town of 5,000 people in the middle of nowhere, okay? I'm 2 hours from any major city. The real primary business down there is more of a state business. There's a lot of coal there, so we have a lot of guys that drive coal trucks in circles, and that's what they do, okay? That's where I live. It's where I graduated high school. I left high school and I went into the military. Who's been in the military? Any of you? Okay, I want to tell you guys thanks, especially with Veterans Day and stuff like that. Appreciate that. I was in the Air Force, so I spent 4 years in the Air Force up in Montana. I was at Great Falls, Montana, at Malmstrom Air Force Base. Okay, that's where I was. I was a security policeman. I met my wife up there. She was also in the military. She's from Sacramento, so she's from Northern California. But she was in the military, and she was also a security policeman. So we met, and it's kind of fun if you both have a set of handcuffs. Just kidding. Anyways, I met her. I married her 2 weeks after I met her. And we've been married for 21 years. Is that pretty good? Okay. Yeah, pretty good, right? Pretty good guess. I've never heard that before. That's funny. That was a pretty good guess, okay? So we've been married for 21 years. We got 3 kids. We actually live back in Richfield again, so we went from there and we kind of traveled around. We lived in Sacramento for a couple years. We lived in Arizona, southern Utah for a couple years. But we ended up back in Richfield where I graduated high school. I wanted my kids to go there too, and we kind of wanted the peace and quiet of a real small town. Well, while we were in the military, I got introduced to this crazy network marketing industry. How many of you guys have been in network marketing before? Raise your hands. Keep them up if it was the best experience of your life. Okay? Exactly, okay? Exactly. So I got involved in a company called Amway. Who's heard of Amway? Who's been involved in Amway? More than once. Right there, more than once? More than 2 times? You know, I ask these questions everywhere I go, and the record's 7, just so you guys know. Can you believe that? 7 times I had someone that they raised their hand. Yeah, I joined it 7 times. I'm like, really? That's a lot. Okay? So I joined Amway. I was in that company for about 6 months. Realized pretty quick that I was the last person that had ever not heard of it. And I didn't finish it. Okay? So I finished my Air Force career. And then I joined a company called New Skin. Who's heard of New Skin? Anybody been involved in New Skin? I did pretty good in New Skin, you guys. I was 6 months into that company making $2,500 a month at 25 years old. And I thought I was going to be 30 years old and a multi-millionaire, right? Because that's what they tell you. Well, unfortunately, some things changed, and they allowed the couple million distributors that they already had in that company to start participating in the division I was part of, and it became really difficult to find somebody to take a look at it. So what do you guys think happened to my check? Kind of disappeared, right? And that was the day that Tasha and I cut our fingers, mixed our blood, did the pinky swear thing, and we said, we will never, ever, ever do network marketing again. Who can relate? Anybody? Okay? Only a few of you. The rest of you guys are already in. That's awesome. Okay? So we said, if I ever try to do this, I want you to stop me in my tracks. Just knock me out. Do whatever you have to stop me. And I became a real estate appraiser. Who's been in real estate? Anybody in here been in real estate? Was it fun in the early 2000s? It was, right? I mean, I could appraise a house, and the next day it was worth more money than the day I appraised it. How about in 2009? Was that a lot of fun? Okay? Not a lot of fun. Well, as a real estate appraiser, I got hit up by network marketing guys all the time. Because how many of you guys have been on I-15 in Utah? Have you guys seen the castles that network marketing companies build in that state? They are gigantic, aren't they? They're huge. And they're everywhere. So as a real estate appraiser in Utah, people would say, hey, I think you'd be really good at what I'm doing. Can I show you? Now, after the 2 experiences that I had had, I was kind of the worst guy you could possibly talk to about network marketing. I was the guy that said, hey, well, how old is your company? Where's your proof? How much money are you making? Oh, you're not making any money? Well, call me when you are, right? That was kind of what I did. And I never got a phone call. That's what happened. So along the way, though, as things kind of went on, I ended up joining a company, believe it or not. I did it. But I didn't do it because of what the person up front said. The reason that I did it is because my mentor, the guy that taught me how to appraise houses, the guy that I would trust with financial advice, marital advice, this guy looked at me and he said, Tyler, the real estate thing's not going to be like this forever. You better have a backup plan. Okay? And I was like, oh, come on, I'm doing great. I make 80 grand a year. You know, I live in a town where the average income's 30 grand a year. My wife's making 60 grand a year as an insurance adjuster. I don't need this. And he said, Tyler, do you trust me? And I said, yeah. He said, then you better have a backup plan. You just don't know what's going to happen. That was in 2003. Do you think I'm kind of happy that I listened to my mentor?
Yes.
Because we don't really know, do we? Even if you feel really comfortable today with your job, we don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow. I know some of you probably have family members, or maybe you've experienced this yourself, where you're really comfortable, you're at the top of your game, and you get blindsided by a phone call, okay? I know that happens. So anyway, to make a long story short, I signed up in that company. My wife said, you're not talking to our friends, you're not talking to our family. This is embarrassing, right? That's what I heard. Okay, you're a real estate appraiser, you're doing great, why are you doing this? She was mad at me, and how that really happened is I came home that night, and she goes, did you sign up? And I go, you have nothing to worry about. The next day, my friend called her, and he goes, are you mad at me? And she goes, for what? And he goes, oh, click, and he hangs the phone up. And so then she jumps in the car and goes up and spends $1,000 on a Brahmin bag. Do you guys know what a Brahmin bag is? All the girls, you guys know what those handbags are, the Brahmin bags? Those like alligator ones, okay? That's what she did. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, if you can spend $1,000 on vitamins, I can go buy a Brahmin bag. I'm like, but I'm getting my money back. She goes, well, I'm not. Right? That's what she says. And I'm like, oh, man. So anyways, after a long conversation, she goes, not only am I keeping this bag, but you're sleeping on the couch. I was like, oh, boy, here's how this works. So she goes, I said, all right, I'll sleep on the couch, but I'm keeping all the money. That's how it works. I'm sleeping on the couch, I'm keeping all the money. I'm not giving you any of it. Now, I'm not real stupid, so I went out and made about $3,000 the first month, okay? And I spent it on her. I bought her diamond earrings to get myself back in bed, right? Okay? And I spent the rest of the money on LASIK eye surgery. And I didn't tell her this at the time, but I did it so she could have just a little teeny bit of vision. And I get in a lot of trouble when she hears me say that. Okay? But anyways, I replaced that income, you guys. I replaced that $80,000 a year income in about 9 months. And I really couldn't even believe it. About a year after that, I replaced all my wife's insurance adjusting income. And that was the day that I looked at this industry in a completely different light. I was like, I probably need to figure out how this happened. Because I lived in a small town. I lived in a town of 5,000, 2 hours from any major city. I really kind of did it on a whim. That's how I did this. I didn't do it because I thought it was going to work. I thought, you know, if my mentor tells me to do it, I'm going to give it a shot. And I would approach people like that. I'd say, well, you know, I'm doing this thing, and this guy told me to do it. And people would be like, really? That's how excited you are about this? And I'm like, well, I don't really expect it to work. I'm like, okay, well, what is it then? And I showed them, and that's what happened to me. Can you believe that? Some of you guys are like, yeah, I'm trying so hard. How could it be like that? Probably because I didn't care, right? I wasn't the hungry dog. But at that time, I decided to look at it, and I asked some questions. I said, is it me? I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think it was just me? Think it was because the short, fat, bald kid from the middle of nowhere was just so dynamic? What do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think it was because the appraiser was sitting in his office? I mean, let me tell you something, you guys. Do you think appraisers are comfortable standing in front of a room? Why do you think appraisers are appraisers? We sit in a cubicle with a filing cabinet and a computer. We don't talk to people. That's how I started this business, okay? I didn't start this business being able to do presentations. So I looked at it and I said, I wonder if it's the environment around me. What do you guys think? Do you think that it might have been more about the environment around me instead of me personally? What do you think? Think it had something to do with the timing in that company? What do you think? Do you think it had something to do with the circumstances instead of just me? Because that's what I figured out, okay? That's what I figured out. So there's 3 things I want to do with you guys tonight. One is tell you my story. I've already done that. The second thing I want to do with you guys is show you what I figured out. I want to show you guys what I think is the way you recognize opportunity. Is that fair?
Yes.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
And then I want to take the company that you were invited here to see, and I want to lay it over the top of this little opportunity test and see if we pass the test. That's all we're going to do. Easy enough? Okay? So to start this out, to figure out what that opportunity looks like, I think it's kind of like a pie chart. Okay? And I started to ask myself questions like, what is the most important thing when I'm trying to decide if I'm going to put my time, my effort into something? That's a good question, right? What's the most important thing? Because if you don't have the most important thing, nothing else really matters, right? Right? Okay, so Myrna, come on up here real quick. I'm going to use you as my model tonight. Can you be my model?
Sure.
Okay, so you'll be my model. I started to ask questions like this. I thought, you know, I wonder if product is the most important thing. What do you guys think? Do you think product? I mean, do you think you just have to believe in the product the most, and if you don't have a really good product, then nothing else matters, right? Raise your hand if you think it's product. Some of you guys have seen me do this before. Okay, you're like, I'm not putting my hand up this time. Okay, well, let me, for all the guests in the room, if you're here for the first time, raise your hand. Awesome, that's awesome. How many of you guys are already in Lifevantage? Raise your hand. Okay, raise your hand up high. Keep your hand up if you've got a paycheck already. Is that awesome? All you guests, all the guests, did you notice that? No hands went down. Is that cool? We're going to get to that in just a second, okay? So I'm going to get back to this product question. Let me put it to you like this. What if I cut Myrna's arm off right in front of you guys? I cut her arm off and I give her a peel and it grows the arm right back. I can grow limbs back. Are you in? Okay, are we in? I mean, if I grow her arm back right in front of you, is anybody out? Because if you are, you need to go. There's nothing else I can do for you here. If I can grow limbs back and you still don't want to be a part of an opportunity that can grow limbs back, we're done. Okay? It's that simple. Okay? Can grow a beamer? Okay? So I thought if the product, which most people think is the most important thing, if I can grow limbs back, then I should just be done with the conversation. And then I started adding things to it. Okay? So let me throw a couple scenarios in here. Let's say I can grow limbs back, but you walk out that door and every car in the parking lot has a sign on it that says, I sell the magic pill. Every house you drive by on the way home has a big sign that says, I sell the magic pill. Someone loses a limb, how are you going to get them to buy it from you? Is that a good question? So now all of a sudden we start to realize, even if I can grow limbs back, there is another factor that's more important, isn't there? We want to be first, right? We want to know that we're growing limbs back, but we're first. We want to be a part of that company in the beginning, not in the very end, right? That's the first piece of the pie chart, you guys. For me, it's called timing. If you don't have it, I'm out. Don't even care if you can grow limbs back. I'm out if you don't have it. Do we agree?
Yes.
Do we agree? Okay. Next thing, let's throw another scenario in. Let's say we can be first. We can grow limbs back, but I'm going to only pay you a penny per pill that you sell. Are you still in?
No.
You've got to grow 100 limbs back to make $1. Are you in?
No.
All of a sudden, there's another factor, isn't there? There's another factor. It's called the compensation plan. Right? I have to know that you're going to get paid. You were a great mom. Thank you. Easy, right?
Very.
Okay? There is another factor. Timing and compensation plan matter before the product does, doesn't it? And then what comes? The product. For me, it's the product now, you guys. Now let me tell you something. This product does not have to be a big old huge scientifically validated product at this point. Because remember, what are we doing right now? We're trying to decide whether this is an opportunity. We're trying to decide whether this is something we'll even put or even have a chance of putting time into, correct? That's what we're trying to decide right now. We're not trying to decide longevity. We're just trying to decide if this is something we should look deeper into, right? So I look at this product and I say this. Does it violate my ethics, my morals, my character? Does it hurt people? Because if it doesn't, I can go to the next step, right? That's the next thing. The next step is training. The next thing I want to know if I'm going to do something like this is if I fall down, who picks me up? If I've got a question, who answers it? Right? You don't want to just jump into something like this and then have to go wander through the darkness trying to figure it out. We want to know that there's training. These things matter if you're looking at an opportunity. Wouldn't you agree? Is this making sense? It's kind of making sense, right? Now after this, you guys, I don't think these other things really matter a lot. They're kind of little things that are not necessary, but they're nice. Little things like who's the corporate staff? Do they help market this thing with you? Do they empower you somehow? Is there training aids? Is there little marketing tools that you can use, right? Those things, they're not necessary, but they're nice if you have them. So once I realized, you guys, that this was the test, and I started showing people this, it became really easy to be successful in this business. All of you guys that rose your hands and said you've done network marketing before, let me ask you a couple questions. Does anybody ever make it in this industry? What do you think?
Yes.
Do they? Do people make it in network marketing? Do they make a lot of money?
Yes.
Do they?
Yeah.
They do, right? Who are they? The ones who get in early or late? They're the ones who get in early primarily. I'm not saying that you can't join a company late. I'm just saying that you have the best chance if you grow with the company, correct?
Yes.
Is there anybody that disagrees with that? There's not, right? We want to get in early and we want to grow with the company. That's where the big results are. The only other question you have to ask is let me ask you guys this. Who's heard of Herbalife? It's kind of big down here, right?
Yes.
I mean, they sponsor the LA Galaxy, right? How about, we said New Skin. How about Amway, Mary Kay, Avon, Tupperware, ACN? Heard of any of those? Jafra, Shackley. Heard of any of those? Cookie Lee, USANA, Mona V. Heard of any of those? We've heard of these companies, correct? Really, if you could turn the clock back on any of these companies to the perfect time, to the perfect moment, okay, if you're a guest here tonight, if you're a guest, if you could turn the clock back to the perfect moment, would you join that company? Okay, that's really the question, isn't it? Let me tell you something. If we could turn the clock back on Mary Kay to the perfect moment, I'm in. I'm in. I'm showing up down here in my pink Cadillac. Right? I'm serious. I'm here in my pink Cadillac, proud of it, right? Proud of it, trying to figure out what everyone's best color is. That's what I'm doing if I can turn it back to the right time. Because what am I doing right now? I'm trying to identify an opportunity. Am I correct? All we have to really do now is figure out what that opportunity looks like, and this is it. Wouldn't you agree? So let's look at Lifevantage. Let's see if Lifevantage passes the test. That's all we have to do tonight, right? Are we all good?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, timing-wise. We all said that we've heard of Herbalife, we've heard of New Skin, we've heard of ACN, MonaV, right? Do you think those companies have 100,000 distributors or a couple million? What do you think? Or more? Millions, right? So if you were going to turn the clock back on those companies, where would you turn it back to? Would it be fair to say the first 10%? So that we have 90% left? What do you guys think? This has got to be interactive. Okay? So probably the first 10%. So what's the first 10% of a couple million? What do you think?
100,000.
It's 200,000, right? So on the big companies that we know we would join if we could turn the clock back, 200,000 is where the timing would be the best for us. So the natural question is, how many people does Lifevantage have, right? How many do we have? We have 80 to 85,000 distributors. That's it, 80 to 85,000. Well, based on that, we passed the test, don't we? We're in the first third. We're not even at 10%. We're at the first third of what we consider a perfect opportunity if we were turning the clock back. You guys see what I'm saying? We're at 80,000. That means there's 97% left. If we're going to be one of the big ones, one of the billion-dollar companies, we've got 97% left to gather. Are you first?
Yes,
You are. Who makes all the money?
we do.
Who has the best opportunity?
We do.
The ones who get in
First.
first. Does that make sense? So do we pass it? Yeah, we passed that test with flying colors, you guys. Let's get into the compensation plan. I got to tell you a really quick story about this because I've been involved in this industry for a little while, okay? I've been involved in this industry for about 10, 11 years. And when I got invited to take a look at this thing, you guys, this was the message they gave to me. We're broke. We don't know if our science is going to be any good. We hope our compensation plan is going to work. But we really want you to help us. I'm like, what? Right? Really? You're broke. We don't know what the science is going to be, and we wonder if the comp plan will work. And that's supposed to be exciting to me? And the guy goes, well, I can kind of tell you the science is going to be decent. I mean, I said, well, tell me. I want to know. I don't want to know that it's going to like come out and surprise me. He goes, it won't surprise you. I go, well, why should I trust you? And he goes, well, because I'll let you help create the comp plan. I'll let you help change it to whatever you want it to be. And I was like, oh, well, that makes a difference. Right? I was like, really? I get to tell you how to pay me? Right? And he goes, yep, we're going to let you tell us how to pay you. How many of you guys would like to go to your boss tomorrow and go, hey, I found out I can tell you what I'm worth? Right? You don't get to decide how to pay me anymore. Okay? That's kind of what it was like. Now, with that comes a lot of responsibility, don't you think? I mean, I can't really just pay it all to me, can I? How many of you guys have been involved in network marketing companies where all the money just goes to the top? You ever seen those? And it seems like everyone else is scrambling around trying to just pick up the crumbs. Okay? What we decided to do is create a compensation plan that spreads it out a little bit more, pays people along the way, helps people make enough money when they're at the early ranks that they can afford to go to the events. They can go to Premier School, they can go to Elite Academies, they can go to conventions because they're making money along the way. What makes more sense to you? If you're trying to build a long-term, stable, consistent business, do you want people to get in and stay in, or do you want to have a whole lot of turnover? Do you want the attrition or the retention?
Retention.
You want the retention, don't you? So we created an unbelievable comp plan, you guys. How many of you guys have a range of income report? Does anybody have one in the room tonight? A range of income report? Will you pull that out real quick? What we've been able to do in the last 5 years is track the kind of success people have in our company financially. So we created a range of income report that tells you the average. I'm going to have you read it. Okay? Okay? We created a range of income report that talks about how much the average income is as you move through the ranks in our company. Is that good information to know?
Yes.
Okay? So what is Pro 5? What's the average income at a Pro 5 rank?
2,251
So $2,251 per
per month.
month. That's 25 grand a year. Pro 5 is halfway through our ranks. How much volume do you have to do to be a Pro 5 in your group? $20,000, right?
Yeah.
$20,000 in volume, you're making $25,000 a year. Average income. Halfway through the ranks. Pro 7, 2 steps above this. 2 steps above Pro 5, Pro 7, $100,000 a month in volume.
10,656.
10,656, that's over $100,000 a year. Is that the highest rank we have?
No.
That's only the 7th rank, you guys. We have 10 of them. 10 of them. So we go from Pro 5 making 25 grand a year, 2 steps later making $100,000 a year. How much does Pro 10's average?
Average 90,428.
90,428 per month. If you cut back a little, can you live in Southern California? You can, right? And I've got 2 of those positions. I have a business partner, so we share it, okay? But we've got 2 of those positions, and we've done it in less than 5 years. In fact, we did it in about 3. Is that pretty good? Okay, so where are you going to be in 3 years? Just asking. Is where you're at right now, the path you're on today, going to give you that kind of a return? Is the path you're on right now going to give you an extra $25,000 extra a year? Is it going to give you an extra $100,000 a year? Is it going to give you an extra $1 million a year? Is that the path you're on right now? That's the kind of compensation plan we created. Do you think we passed that test? What do you think? Now remember, I'm just a little farm kid, little short, kind of fat, bald kid from the middle of nowhere. Okay? Do we pass that test? We do. All right, product. This is kind of one of my favorite topics because we do these meetings and I get criticized all the time because people go, how come you don't spend more time talking about the product, Tyler? I'm like, because not everyone's here for that. There's some people here that want to just make a house payment, right? There's some of us that are going, the last few years haven't been all that good financially. I need to just pay a car payment. I just need a little help. So I have to talk about these other things too. So when I get to the product part, it becomes really, really easy because when we started this thing 5 years ago, we had a whole bunch of peer reviews that were in process. Guess how many of those things have been completed in the last 5 years? 16 medically, scientifically done peer reviews have been published in medical journals. Is that a big deal?
Yes.
Let me tell you how big of a deal it is to me. I've been in this industry long enough to know that that's not a very common thing, right? What most companies have been asked about is they've said, where's your science? And they go, oh, it's right here. And we look at the science, and what they did is they took an ingredient that had some science and stuck it into their product, whatever it is, whether it's a drink or whatever it is. They stick one ingredient in it, and they go, there's our science. And we go, no, it's not. That's borrowed science. That's not science on your product. It's science on an ingredient. They go, no, 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 it's in our product. And we go, yeah, we know, but the science is based on the ingredient, not the composition of your product, right? That's what we do. And the outside world's been begging network marketing for proof in their science for what, 50, 60 years? And all the companies would always say this, no one else has it, why should we have to have it, right? They're billion-dollar companies, they don't have it, we don't need it. Well, guess what our company said? We said, we're actually going to provide it. We're actually going to be a company that sets a new standard. We're going to be a company that actually has science. Science from places like Harvard, LSU, Ohio State, American Heart Association, Virginia Commonwealth. Studies that are funded by the National Institutes of Health. We're saying we don't care if nobody else had it, we're going to. So now think about this. Does anybody ever make it in this industry? They do, don't they? They're the ones who get in early. Do you want to be in a company that's setting the standard or the one that has to come out and meet the standard later on? What do you think? I kind of want to be in the company that's setting the standard. Doesn't that make more sense? If this industry really does work, we're already beyond that question, it really does work. Let's be in the company that is setting the standard other companies are going to have to meet. Does that make sense? And that's what we have today. So I'm going to tell you about one of our products. I'm going to tell you about Protandem, okay? Because I forgot to even say the word Protandem when I was in Denver 2 weeks ago. I did. The guy came up to me after and he goes, did you know you didn't say Protandem? And I'm like, yeah, I guess I didn't, you know? He goes, why didn't you say Protandem? I'm like, I don't know, I guess I just don't really need to, right? But I'm going to do it tonight for all of you, okay? This is how this worked. When I heard about Protandem in the beginning, there's a guy named Dr. McCord who actually put the composition of our product together because our science is now based on the actual composition, not just an ingredient. It's based on the amounts of each individual ingredient collectively, okay? It's real science, specific science. It's not borrowed science. Well, Dr. McCord is the one who discovered the SOD in our body. That's what he did. He discovered how oxidation works in your body. Well, he's the one who put this together, and he would get up on stage in the beginning at our events, and this guy's brilliant. But he would use a lot of words that a little farm boy from the middle of Utah can't understand. How does keep 1 and keep 2 and superoxide dismutase and catalase and all these things work together and all these enzymes? You guys, I'd sit up there and I'd be like, man, can you just say this at like 10 levels below that, right? Because I don't get it. And so what eventually started happening is, you guys ever heard of the game Angry Birds? Okay? I'd sit up at the front of the room and I'd be up there playing Angry Birds while he was talking for an hour and a half, because I just couldn't get it. I just didn't understand. So I'm knocking bricks down while he's up there talking about the building blocks of life and stuff, right? I finally went up to him afterwards and I said, Dr. McCord, you've got to explain this to me in a way that I can help everybody understand, not just the really, really smart people like Dr. Chesney, right? I need you to explain this to me in a level that all the rest of us can understand. And he goes, okay, Tyler. He goes, I will help you understand what Protandim does. And I said, okay, I'm all ears. He goes, when you're young, your body makes enough stuff to fix all the problems that you create. Are you with me? And I went, I got you. I got it so far. Your body makes enough stuff to fix all the problems. He goes, okay, it's kind of like a faucet. So it's making all the stuff and it's coming out the faucet and it's fixing all the problems, right? But when you get to be 20, 25 years old, the faucet starts to gradually get turned off. And I go, okay, I got that. He goes, when you're 60, 65, it's off. And you die. And I went, oh, got it. He goes, do you want to know what Protandim does? And I said, yeah, that'd be really nice to do, or nice to know. He goes, it just turns the faucet back on. Now think about that. It just turns the faucet back on. Your body just starts making enough stuff to fix all the problems again. That's all it does. Is that pretty amazing? And we have Harvard and LSU and Ohio State and the American Heart Association and all these big universities that have done multi-million-dollar, multi-year studies to prove it. How big of a deal is that? Do we pass our product test? We do, don't we? You guys wonder why our product has such a broad impact, why it has so much reach? It's because those enzymes that your body creates naturally when you're young is the very thing that slows all the oxidation down that ends up getting us when we get old. That's all it is. Does that make sense? Okay? Did I say that okay, Dr. Chesney? All right. Okay. Every once in a while I do that and I'm wondering, is Dr. Chesney like being real critical? All right, training. Do we pass the training test? We have premier schools every single month, you guys. We have 35 to 40 of these premier schools that go on around the country. You're hearing from people that are Pro 6s, Pro 7s, Pro 8s teaching them. These are people that are, we went through the list. You kind of know what kind of money they're making. They're people that have already done it. And we send them all over the country to teach people how to do this business every month. On a quarterly basis, we have the Elite Academies, where it's a 2-day event where the company comes in and they talk about forecasting, they talk about new products, they talk about research development, they talk about new hires, they talk about all the things that we need to have on the corporate side to make our businesses stable. Does that make sense? So the work and effort we put in, we know it's going to be around tomorrow because these guys are doing their job appropriately. That's what they do on the corporate side. On the distributor side, you hear from the 8, 9s, and 10s now, a couple steps above what you hear at premier schools most of the time, and they're telling you how to take it from a 6 level to an 8 or 9 or a 10 level, which is where ultimately we all want to be, right? I mean, I'm 43 years old, you guys. I've got 2 positions at Pro 10. I live in the middle of nowhere. Is there any reason in the next 5 or 10 years you guys shouldn't be in the position I'm in? Not really, right?